I can't stand Five Nights at Freddy's. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with my blind reaction to, well, Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. And yeah, that cold open may have sounded a bit weird to you, but hear me out here. So Five Nights at Freddy's, I think, came out in 2014, 2015 originally. And when the games first started coming out, I would like mostly watch them. I didn't really play them myself. I watched them through like Markiplier and other YouTubers at the time who were checking them out and everything because, you know, new indie horror game. And eventually, like, Matt Pass started making the game theories on them, started going into the lore. And it was like, okay, this kind of fun little thing. Didn't expect it to like be anything super serious. But as the years went on, the game started to become, let's be honest, way too much. Scott Cawthon, the creator, basically saw the fame he got from the first game and just started rolling with it to the point where it became almost a parody of itself. The games started feeling like they were just trying to one up the last in terms of lore. You had like chapter books that would come out that would like explain certain bits of lore. You had to like look at the website coding to figure things out, and it became too much. It became one of those things where it not only outstayed its welcome, but it just, like I said, kind of became a parody of itself. It kind of like just went overboard with the hidden lore and everything, that it stopped being fun. It stopped being interesting. And on top of that, some of the later games started just getting worse and worse in terms of quality. And then it came out that Scott Cawthon is kind of a shitbag and donates money to Trump. So lovely. Great look there. Eventually he did end up leaving the production of the series and everything. He kind of just quietly retired to spend time with his family or whatnot. But this was like right after like there was a huge the huge controversies came out about his donations to Trump and everything, and a lot of people, myself included, kind of believe that he did leave, he did quit, he did retire because of the feedback he was receiving. He couldn't handle being attacked and he ran. He used the excuse that it was for his family, and to a degree I'm sure that there was at least partial reasoning with that. But let's be honest, he left because he couldn't handle the pressure. And it's a series that had already been run into the ground and become a shell of its former self. And even after he left, it's just more games have released and they're just as bad. And like there's this new one called The Mimic, I think is what the game is called. And people have been roasting the shit out of it, like saying like this game is just not good. It's just not good. It's not what we like want and expect from a FNAF game. It's just trying too hard, and it's like, yeah, the series has been doing that for a long time. So what's new? It's again, it's just faded in terms of quality, and the popularity has been fading. But it does still have a dedicated enough fan base to the point where it's like there's toys and plushes and board games and video games obviously, and just all kinds of merchandise stuff. And for some reason, kids are super into it, even though the games are not kid friendly like at all. Not the first time that's happened, but still, it's like this is just not a kid's game. These games are like very mature, very adult oriented. And yet for some reason kids are into them, and kids are into like these characters like Foxy and Freddy and Bonnie and whatnot. And it's just like, any parent who is letting their kids play Five Nights at Freddy's is a bad parent. And I'm talking as a kid who played Mortal Kombat, or I'm talking as someone who played Mortal Kombat as a kid. I admit I should not have. Like, there's certain things that it's like, okay, you're going a little too far with trying to protect the kids. It's like, it's a little much here. But it's like, FNAF is not a friendly game for kids. Kids shouldn't be playing, like, notable horror games like that in the first place. Like, that's just not okay. And I shouldn't even need to explain that. But for some reason it became really popular, and popular enough to get a live action movie. And I've avoided this movie since it came out, I think, like 2 years ago now. Because I didn't want to check it out because I don't like the series. And I don't like Scott Cawthon, and I just didn't want to really support this. Even with the likes of, oh god, what's his name? It's gonna bother me. Oh my god. I had his name in my head, and now I've forgotten. I think it's Matthew something, right? Matthew Lillard, yes. I don't know why. It just completely skipped out of my head. I had it in there, and it's just, like, gone. But Matthew Lillard, who I love as an actor, he's fantastic. He was fantastic in Scream. He's fantastic as Shaggy, both in live action and voice acting. He was just in the movie The Life of Chuck, which I saw this year. He was fantastic in that. He's just a great actor. Even with him in this, I just wasn't really interested. I just didn't feel like that was enough to, like, get over my hang-ups with this series and just franchise, I guess, is more accurate at this point. It just felt like I just didn't want to see Matthew Lillard in this in the first place. But despite all that, he is. And despite my trying to stay away from it, this movie was requested by Venom. So it's not the first movie we've reacted to on the channel that I didn't really want to ever see, and it won't be the last. But it's one of those to where I don't have a lot of hopes for this movie, if I'm being honest. I don't feel like the jump scare kind of idea will work as well outside of a video game, because the video game and being in control of it, and, like, you know, having that sense of, like, you're invested and you're into the action and everything with the game. It's like that's part of what makes the FNAF games so effective, at least the original, like, 2 or 3 of them. And having that just be in a movie form just doesn't work quite as well. So I assume they're going to, like, tackle, like, the lore and everything, which it's just gonna be like, the lore is super confusing and super, like, all over the place. It's more than likely going to, like, just end up feeling like modern FNAF in terms of how the lore has been handled. I'm not really looking forward to that. I just feel like these games are super overrated. Even the early ones that were the best are super overrated, and just I feel like I'm not invested. But excuse me. Sorry about that. As I always say, I'm willing to react to anything, even if it's something I otherwise wouldn't be into. And I always say, like, for any donations and requests, you can pick anything for me to react to. Even if it seems like it'd be something I hate, or I would hate, you can still choose to have me react to it. You have that right as the donator. So yeah, we're gonna we're just gonna get this taken care of. We're gonna get this done and over with. If I end up liking it as a movie and end up liking the performances in it, then cool. At least there's that. But it's also going to be very hard, like, separating it from the games because it is a direct adaptation. So we'll see how it goes. That being said, let's get into it and just find out. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I wanted to look up some things about how this compares to the game in terms of lore and continuity. I was right about about a lot of the inclusions of certain things that weren't relevant in the first game and everything. A lot of things were like added in way before their time and before, like, in ways that really don't make sense. And it's very clear there's supposed to be Easter eggs for fans of the games, but it just, if you're a fan of the game, I feel like it, with, again, the games being so directly tied to their lore and continuity, I feel a lot of fans of the games would find that, like, not great to kind of break the continuity. Also, in the games, Vanessa is not William Afton's daughter, but she is like, she's just like an unwilling or not really unwilling, but kind of forced accomplice, who works with him and everything, works under him, and she doesn't come in until, like, I think it said it was security breach. I'm not gonna bring it up again, but and then you have Mike, who in the games is Michael Afton. He's revealed to be William Afton's son. So, yeah, they kind of just instead made her the child of William Afton instead of him, which was, I guess, that's just a weird decision, I guess. But they also, like, of course, had to add in a lot of, like, character and lore that wasn't, I guess, part of the games and extended continuity. So it's like, to make this into a movie. And I talked about during the reaction, like, when you turn a game into a film, you do have to make some changes, just because the medium, like, kind of forces you to do things differently than you would in a game. And so it's like, I understand, like, some changes would be made, but, like, I'm speaking this as someone who's not a fan of the games, and even, like, having been, like, casually into them during, like, the first 3 or 4 games. It's just like, the way things are, like, progressed is really weird. Because another big change is, in the games, William Afton is not, like, the villain of the first game. He's not in the first game. I believe it's, like, sometime between the events of 1 and 2 or something like that he ends up going into the restaurant, and that's when he, like, ends up kind of just falling into the Springlock suit that ends up killing him because it, like, malfunctions. Like, he has absolutely no connection to the protagonist at this point, outside of, again, Mike being revealed to be his son. But that's revealed later on and everything, and it's just, it makes no sense. Also, like, the restaurant being closed down at this point is, like, I don't think it was closed down in the game. I think it was open. There's also a lot of elements that are added to this because of some of these changes that just, I'm not a fan of. the entire, like, let's be honest, edgy backstory for Mike in this, and like the entire drama happening with his sister and his aunt and everything. It's like, for one, the entire thing with his sister and his aunt, the aunt, the cruel, terrible aunt who wants to take the sister away from him because she just wants the money from the government and shit. It's like, that is so overdone, and it was not done in any, like, good way here that makes it stand out. It is such an overdone plot point that's, like, seen in so many movies and whatnot. It's just, it's like, why did you do that? Just why? It just feels unnecessary. There was some horror movie we reacted to on this channel that did that. Was it Mother? It might have been Mother. I'm not 100% certain. But we reacted to at least one horror movie on the channel that did that trope, I guess you would call it. His backstory with his brother and everything is, like, I believe that's something completely made up for the film. It's, again, because he's normally in the games, William Afton's son. The entire thing with his brother and his sister, it's like, that's completely original. The entire, like, kind of edgy backstory of, like, oh, I have trauma. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel believable. It doesn't feel sympathetic. It just feels like an edgy backstory because, like, the writers or whatever thought the games were, like, edgy, which to a degree they end up getting to that point. But it's like, it just feels out of place to have that backstory here. Especially because, like, you could kind of say that the backstory surrounding the spirits of the children and the animatronics is edgy enough. Like, it takes away from a lot of things. Also, the spirits, the animatronics, not really going after Mike for the majority of the film, and kind of, like, diverging from what the, like, plot of the game is. Like, Mike, yeah, there's 5 nights. There are 5 nights that they go in there, so they at least got that right. I was kind of worried for a bit that they wouldn't. But it's, like, only on the final night that they even really do anything to him. And even then, they're more trying to do it, trying to, like, turn the sister into an animatronic as well. And at that point, it just becomes more about Afton, who, again, as with the Springlock suit and everything, should not be here at this time. It's like, also the cupcake being the reason the Springlock activates and everything, it's like, that's stupid. That's just really fucking stupid. Of all things to cause it, that's what causes it. It's anticlimactic as fuck, honestly. It's just, like, I guess you can say that it captures the spirit of the games, the idea, but there's certain aspects that just feel off and feel like they're taking away from what even made the game so popular in the first place. Like, let's be honest, the amount of jump scares and amount of the animatronics actually doing anything is ridiculously low. And that's one of the biggest, like, parts of the game. I understand, like, I understand there would be, like, an issue with maybe, like, trying to figure out how to do the electronic door thing for, like, how the game plays. Because in the original game, you're in the room, there's a door on each side, you can light up, you can turn on the lights in the hallway to check if the animatronics are there, and if they're there, you press the door button, and the electronic door, the automatic door, will swing down and close. And eventually the animatronic leaves. They didn't really do that. They also didn't really do the checking the camera thing that you have, like, where you have, like, the hand-held control panel. They didn't really do anything with that either. I mean, most of the time at night he was sleeping anyway, so it's like, really? You're going to have Mike be sleeping most of the time during the nights and just, like, completely waste the opportunities to actually do anything fun with the animatronics and have the scares and have, like, I understand you can't have them, like, I mean, you could have them trying to kill him or something, or at least like watching him or doing something. I understand if you like went too hard with it too early on, it would like not give him a reason to like come back. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. But the first couple nights not really having much going on, that makes sense. But after that, you really should have ramped it up a little bit more. And it's like the reasons they kind of gave him to return, just like it started to become like less believable. And him bringing his sister there also felt entirely unbelievable. Like, it just didn't feel like it didn't feel like it made any sense for him to bring his sister to this job with him that is like so actively dangerous. And by that point, he had already seen like things that could like, you know, concern him at the very least. Like, I understand that that his babysitter Max went missing, which, by the way, when he saw her, he had like no reaction to her other than, oh, there's a dead body here. He should have had an actual reaction to it being her. But no, nothing, absolutely nothing, no reaction whatsoever. He like mentioned it to Vanessa briefly after the fact, but it's like, it was like one line and then it's just like, oh, we're just gonna forget about that again. And I know like at the one point he asked his aunt to watch over her. But it's like, he should have been able to find someone else, right? He should have absolutely been able to find someone else to watch over her while he was at work. It didn't make a lot of sense. On top of that, I do kind of wonder how William Afton, like, you know, managed to completely like change his identity and everything with the way he did. Like changing his name and everything and having like this official, like, real career and everything, doing this career counseling. Like, that doesn't even make a lot of sense. Like, I understand it's like, oh, you want to have him in here before you reveal that he's William Afton. You want to have him like in a lot of the movie because he's a famous actor. He's really well known and really well loved. But it's like, when you think about it, it's like nothing about that makes sense. Even if you want to believe like, oh, after everything happened in the 80s, it's like William Afton like changed his name and like went off to do like other things. It's like William Afton was known as the owner and everything of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Even if he changed his name, people would be able to find out who he was beforehand and would still know at that point. And like, he wouldn't have gotten like an official job with this. Like, this kind of thing is like, aren't like job search people, isn't that like a almost government job? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. But isn't that like more of a really official like career? I might be wrong about that. But either way, I don't think he would be able to get a job like that. Like, he would be working in like a very like shifty situation himself. He would be in the same kind of position that Mike was in, considering all of his, you know, issues with his previous jobs and everything. Even if he changed his name, unless he like found a place that just didn't do background checks, maybe we could assume that. But it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work, in my opinion. Also, it's like in the original game, like the cupcake, I don't think was in the original game, first of all. Let me check real quick. I know I said I really wasn't gonna like look stuff up, but that's actually something I want to make sure on because I didn't check that before. I think the cupcake only started to appear in the second game. Da, 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 da. Okay. In the first game, the cupcake was there, was held by Chica's tray, as we've seen in this movie. And there's another cupcake in the office. But it's not actually an animatronic. It's just a decoration. It's not an animatronic at all. In Five Nights at Freddy's 2, there is a replica toy of the cupcake that is awarded after a challenge. And the Chica plushies have a small stuffed one. In Five Nights at Freddy's 3, Mr. Cupcake can appear in the office as a hallucination. Let me see here. So it seems like in most of the games, the Cupcake is not actually much of anything. And it wasn't until Five Nights at Freddy's AR special delivery that the jaw, the cupcake having a movable jaw, was even seen. So it's like the cupcake being there and everything, obviously, as well as Balloon Boy, was definitely not the cupcake being an animatronic was definitely not like canon to the games. Because again, I believe the fifth child in the games is actually Golden Freddy, who like you only see through what appears to be kind of like these hallucinations. Because there's Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy are the original 5 kids, I believe. I could check that real quick too, just to be sure. Who are the 5 kids in FNAF? Yeah. Gabriel, Susie, Jeremy, Fritz, and Cassidy. They are also known as the Missing Children and possess Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, and Golden Freddy, respectively. So yeah. Also, something else I wanted to check because this one like threw me off. Okay, so I think this one I was just wrong on. So I mentioned in the reaction that it's like the dum singing. I thought was Freddy singing, and I was just wrong about that. I don't know how I always thought that was Freddy singing that. Apparently, it was always Foxy. And the song, the dum dum sound, is also known as Pirate Song 2. So, okay, that's interesting. I genuinely didn't know that. Um, so yeah, I was just wrong about that one. But there are still inconsistencies and a lot of changes from the lore, which again is not entirely unexpected considering the you have to switch it to a movie and it's like it requires different things. But again, when you have a series, a franchise that is so aggressively focused on the lore, that the lore is actually the most important part of the games, much more than like gameplay or whatnot. It's like changing the lore feels wrong. It feels like it's not like the One Piece live action series, which changes lore and changes things around in terms of timing and whatnot, because that changing things around, like makes a little more sense for a series like One Piece that's not like so steeped in its, well, I mean, lore and story is important to One Piece, but you can switch some things around without it changing too much as long as you get the story beats right. Again, with FNAF, it's very different. It's a very different kind of like specification here, and I want to see what the reception to this was. So according to this, the movie actually received negative, generally negative reviews. Um, and it's just saying it was just not scary, muddled, and whatnot. A baffling plot and backstory for the protagonist. Lack of effective jump scares, which is important to FNAF. That's a big part of the franchise as well. In trying to adapt the game for the screen, they forgot what makes the original special, wringing unintentional laughter from its bizarre story instead of entertaining audiences. Low stakes, late night thrill expect from material never arrives. Okay. Um, yeah, it just keeps mentioning that it's also not even scary and it's kind of unintentional comedy. And yes, it is PG-13, which I think was also a big mistake. Um, it definitely should have been rated R. Um, Apparently there was a 3-picture deal made for it though. And it was revealed in April 2024 that they have confirmed the sequel. Da, 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 da. And it's set to be released in December of this year, actually, December 5th. And it looks, and from what I've gathered, it's gonna follow, I guess, more or less the plot of the second one with the toy animatronics. But yeah, it's one of those cases where it's like this movie just didn't do well. Yet I guess they made like a deal to have 3 films and everything, so it's like they're gonna make them either way. And it's like maybe they still made enough money from people going to see it, even if the reviews were terrible. Sometimes that'll happen. Sometimes a movie or a show or whatnot, just because it gets enough views, it makes enough money to warrant more. But it's just still so terribly reviewed. It doesn't do well anyway, and it's very well not looked well upon. So maybe that's the case here, but it's just like this apparently like didn't do well at all. And I'm not surprised. Because the thing is, it's not a good movie. It feels very muddled and it feels like it's forcing in too many like weird tropes that just don't fit. As well as it never really gets you to care about any of the characters. Except maybe Abby. But even then, it's like you really don't care for her as much as it feels like you're supposed to. Because it doesn't do enough to actually make you sympathetic and interested in her and her story and everything going on. It doesn't focus in the right ways on like what's going on with her, why she's not eating and stuff, which is never addressed, by the way. Like you can make assumptions, but nothing is ever actually stated as to why she wasn't eating, why she was like misbehaving, and why at the end suddenly she has a better relationship with Mike. Never gone into. Never touched on in any way, shape, or form. So yeah. Pretty crazy. um but it's like again, it's not even just that it's a bad movie, it's a bad Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Again, when you have a series that when you have a franchise that is so reliant on the lore and so reliant on the lore being a very specific way and happening in a very specific order, and you change that, it's going to cause problems. And the thing is, they could have added in like a lot more of this stuff, a lot more with the, Mike and storyline stuff with that to buffer out the film and everything without changing the order of things without changing the lore. It feels like they added certain elements in just because it's iconic for the games. Like Springtrap, no business having Springtrap, William Afton in this movie. Absolutely no business. No business to have like the Balloon Boy stuff here. The Balloon Boy would not be in this location. It just makes no sense. No real like logic in changing Vanessa to be his daughter. Like, even if you didn't want to like reveal Mike to be his son or anything, it's like changing, like revealing Vanessa to be his daughter is like, that goes against lore. And also Vanessa just being in this at this point, the cupcake being an animatronic, and so many other things. The animatronics feel woefully wasted. They're just not used to their potential, and they're not like everyone seems to be saying, they're not scary. Like, they're never intimidating in the slightest. Because they're not, like, made to be. You never feel, like, scared of them. Even during the scene where Max, her brother, and the other two guys end up getting killed by the animatronics, at no point during that scene are you scared of the animatronics. At no point during that scene are you, like, even remotely feeling anything. You just don't care. At least I didn't. The YouTuber cameos were cool, though. I heard Markiplier was supposed to be in this, but there was a scheduling conflict with something, and he wasn't able to be. And so now there's, like, reports that he might be in the second one. Markiplier is like the biggest FNAF YouTuber outside of maybe MatPat because of the game theory stuff. And MatPat was in this, which makes a lot of sense. Corey X Kenshin being in this was pretty cool too. Just love seeing him get attention. But yeah, the cameos for MatPat and Corey were well done. Though, like, Matt saying it's just a theory is like, that was a little corny. But I actually didn't mind them having their cameos and the way they were integrated in. I think they were fine. I think it was like a fine way to do that. Which is like one of the few good things I can say about this movie. The design of the animatronics was fine. They felt weirdly... This is gonna sound fucking weird. They felt weirdly mechanical. In the way that they didn't move like they do in the games. And it's like, I feel like they were trying to make them like feel like more realistic in terms of the mechanical aspect of them. And they were trying to make the animatronics feel like more like janky and robotic and old and everything. But it's like, again, they didn't move in a realistic way. Or not a realistic way, but in again, the same way that they moved in the games. And it kind of created a little bit of a disconnect for me. But that, I mean, there was a lot of things that caused that, to be fair. So it's like, yeah, this wasn't a good movie. It wasn't a good FNAF movie. It wasn't even that fun of an experience. I can't say that I'm glad to have finally watched this, because I'm not. I can't say it's one of those movies that it's like, okay, at least I gave it a chance. I may not have liked it, but hey, at least I gave it a chance, and I can say I've seen it. It's not even a movie I can be happy to say that about. It's just like, I wouldn't go as far as saying, like, I regret watching this. There are movies that I would, like, use that kind of language for, but I would say that this movie just, it gave me nothing. It gave me nothing of any substance to enjoy. And while it's not the worst movie I've seen or anything, it's, again, it's not good. It's not even just mid. It is bad, but it's not the worst I've seen. It's bad, but it's not terrible. I don't know an exact rating I would give it right now. I guess maybe just based solely on recency, having seen it. Like, I would definitely need to think about it a little more before I gave a informed rating. But just off the top of my head, based just on this, if I were to rate it on a score out of 10, a 3, I think. Like I said, there's worse movies, but I think a 3 is pretty good. Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable rating for this. I wouldn't go below a 3. I would never go below a 3 for this. But I think at absolute max, I would say 4. Somewhere between 3 and 4. Let's put it that way. Either way, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.